My name is Alex. This is my story. It all started when I was 14 years old. My dad left me and my mom. He went to find himself, he said, which was code for he left us because he didn't want to be with a crazy ex-wife and a weird son who had just turned 14. And if you're wondering why my mom was crazy, it's because she spent all her time inside our house cutting out coupons and talking to herself. So yeah, my dad left us, and soon after he left, the nightmares began. I would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps above my bed. And every time I looked up, there was this shadowy figure standing over me. I could never make out its face, but it always wore a creepy smile. Then one day at school I started hearing whispers. The new kid is here. The new kid is here. They say he's a killer. He hunts kids. He plays with their bodies. Who's the new kid? Well, I don't know, but apparently he lives on Sycamore Street, same as me. Coincidence? Maybe. Then one night I heard the whispers in my dreams. The new kid is here. The new kid is here. He plays with their bodies. Then I woke up, and the next morning at school I found out who the new kid was. It was me. Apparently I had moved into the neighborhood 6 months ago and nobody knew. I mean, they knew I lived on Sycamore Street, but they didn't know my name. But now they did. Now they all called me the new kid, and they also knew I was a killer. I wasn't sure how they knew, but they did. And to this day, I have no idea how they knew. See, I've never killed anyone. Okay, so maybe I have, but only in self-defense. After school, I ran home because I knew what was coming. Sure enough, when I got home, there were police cars outside and officers were pounding on my front door. Ma'am, are you home? Ma'am, are you home? Where are you, ma'am? Why aren't you answering the door? I hid under my bed and listened to my mom screaming in her room. When it was over, I came out from under the bed and walked into the living room. There was this big hole in the wall where the TV used to be, and on the wall next to it was a post-it note that read, "Sorry, I couldn't save you." Then I saw my mom lying on the floor dead. She had been stabbed multiple times. And on her nightstand, I found a bloodied meat cleaver. I picked it up and looked around to see if anyone was there. No one was, and I just stood there holding this meat cleaver, not knowing what to do. That's when I heard the footsteps again. The footsteps came closer and closer until I could hear them right above me. Then the shadowy figure appeared again, except this time it was real. It reached out its hand and touched my cheek, and then it smiled, the creepiest smile I've ever seen, and it whispered in my ear, "You were never supposed to see that." Then everything went black. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed and 2 men in black suits were sitting next to me. They introduced themselves as agents from a top-secret government organization, and they told me that I had a special gift. I could see things others couldn't, like ghosts. I asked them what happened to my mom, but they wouldn't tell me. All they said was that she was involved in something she wasn't supposed to be involved in. Then they offered me a choice. I could either live the rest of my life in a safe house with other kids who had special gifts, or I could go back to my normal life and pretend none of this ever happened. Of course, I chose the safe house, but after a while I got really bored, so I started sneaking out. One night I snuck out and went to a nearby convenience store. I bought some snacks and then I went to the electronics aisle and stole a bunch of Game Boy Advance games. When I got back to the safe house, I played the games, but they were all messed up. The graphics were glitchy and the characters were distorted. But there was one game that worked, and it was called Ghost Recon 2. I played the game for hours, but then the power went out and I heard the footsteps again. I ran to my room and hid under my bed. Then I heard the voice whispering, come out, little ghost. You can't hide from me forever." Then it smiled again and said, "Let's play a game." "What game?" "The game we'll play is called hide and seek, and I'll let you hide first." I looked around my room for somewhere to hide, but everywhere I looked, there was the shadowy figure. There was nowhere to hide. And as it got closer and closer, I could feel my heart beating faster and faster. Then it reached out its hand again and touched my cheek. And then I woke up. It was just a dream, or so I thought, because when I opened my eyes, I was lying on the floor and the last thing I remembered was the shadowy figure touching my cheek. Was it real? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you dare, I was going to end the story right there, but there's more. And if you want to hear more, stay tuned for part 2.